Hey there guys, Next-Gen Striker here, back again for another video, and we're finally talking about Young Justice again after the live-action Teen Titans fiasco with the set photos being released. If you guys are interested in that, you can feel free to check out those videos. I'm sure I'll have them linked somewhere in the video, probably towards the end and possibly throughout as well, so just be sure to check that out. Subscribe to the channel if you are interested in Young Justice or DC content in general. But anyway, enough of the plugs. Let's get started. So, I actually recently looked on the Young Justice wiki. I saw some interesting things on Twitter and social media, and I decided to look into this. And the Young Justice wiki, by the way, is where I've gotten a lot of my news, and they're really a good source. They compile like all the news together. So whoever runs the wiki, you guys are awesome. Just so you know, I haven't been in contact with any of them, but if you come across this video, you guys are awesome. And yeah. I'd be interested in talking at some point, possibly. But anyway, so the latest news, this is somewhat old stuff, especially when this actually gets uploaded. It'll be like a week or so old on the newest thing, but I figured it'd be interesting to discuss it, talk about it, and all that. So the first one is voice recording has been completed for all 26 episodes of Season 3, and that was in March. So about a month ago, they finished recording all the voice work for Season 3, which is awesome, by the way. That is a good sign. That means that as far as that end goes, nothing can possibly go wrong with the voice actors to stop this series from coming out. So that is great. But what's more interesting is the other bit of news that says the first 7 episodes of Season 3 are in post-production, 8 are being animated, and the final 11 are still in pre-production. So this is good news because this shows us that we are getting close to this series actually coming out. Now, this series, I've been getting this quite a bit, this question, when is this series coming out? We still don't know. It's supposed to come out in the 4th quarter of 2018, and it's not supposed to come out before October, I believe. So we're probably looking at like November or December, probably maybe the end of November, something like that is my guess. Could be December, or it could be early 2019, just depending on how the production and all of this goes along. But it looks like it's going pretty smooth, which is great news. So that's great. So we have 7 episodes already pretty much done. I mean, the post-production won't take too much longer, I wouldn't imagine. The 8 getting animated, once those are finished, now even if they took like a month apiece just to finish the animation, which they won't, because clearly they're animating, it looks like multiple episodes at once. I have a strong feeling that this is all going to be done by the end of this year. If not, a majority of the episodes will be finished by the time it debuts. Now, it depends largely on how they decide to release the episodes. Because as you guys know, on some digital services, when they have a new season of a series come out, they simply dump all the episodes in one go so that you can binge watch them, right? And with Netflix, this was a very popular thing for Young Justice because people like to do that. Of course, when it actually came out on TV, we had to wait every week. Either way, I'm fine with it. I don't care if it comes out every week. Honestly, it would be kind of hard for me to find the time to sit there and watch all 26 episodes in one long run. You know, and I'd like to make more content on it, hopefully, at that point, and talk about it and all that. And it makes it a little bit tough to review it and give your thoughts on all that if they dump them all at once. But either way, they do what they want. It's fine. I don't really care. Either way, we get Season 3 and we're all happy, right? But if they decide to dump the episodes on a weekly rotation, like typical TV series, if they do that, that'll give them enough time that even if all the episodes aren't completed, that, you know, they'll still be able to make them while releasing the ones that are already finished. And we also know that with Young Justice, they did take a mid-season break with both Season 1 and Season 2, I believe. So if they decide to do that, that gives them even more time. But again, it really just depends on how these episodes are going to be released. I'll say this, and I've said this many times, I think that Comic-Con 2018 is really going to be the key source of a lot of Young Justice information that we're going to get. Aside from these little, like, tidbit things that we get along the way, I think that Comic-Con 2018 is really going to be the big source. I think at that point, We're going to get a solid release date. We're going to get a trailer. We're going to get interviews. We're going to get voice actors talking about it, and possible any other sort of hints or anything like that, screenshots, you name it. We're going to get a ton of info at Comic-Con, so be on the lookout for when that hits. And Comic-Con, the big San Diego Comic-Con is typically in, I think it's the end of July is when that hits. So we have roughly like 3 months before we get huge news on it, so just keep an eye out on that as well. For those of you wondering, like, where's the trailer? Where's the release date? Just wait for Comic-Con. That's going to be my big advice to you guys. That's when we're going to get a lot of info. But again, it really just depends on how long it takes. I'm not familiar with how long it takes for them to produce these episodes. I don't know if they've ever discussed this in any sort of production way or any commentary or any Comic-Con, how long it takes them to produce these episodes. But the fact that they already have 7 pretty much finished is a good sign, depending on how they want to distribute it. So, another big piece of this is the digital service, right? This unnamed DC digital streaming service that we really have not heard anything about. I think this is actually going to play a pretty big factor as to when Young Justice actually comes out. Now, Young Justice, of all the 3 series that I know that are going to be on this DC branded digital service, Young Justice is definitely the heaviest hitting one. I mean, not to say that people don't want to see, well, I don't know if people want to see Titans now, but Teen Titans is a big property. I'm not saying, like, you know, Teen Titans isn't a big thing. It is, but I think of all the most anticipated ones between Titans, between Harley Quinn, the animated series, and Young Justice Season 3, Young Justice is definitely the heavy hitter for this DC branded digital service. But the thing is, now people, you gotta remember this. They're not going to simply release the service and have one series on it. They're going to have multiple series on it at once. So this DC brand service, I don't know how they're going to compile this thing. We really don't know much of anything about this digital service. And hopefully we do know more at Comic-Con. Again, Comic-Con is probably going to be a big source of information for a lot of these things, right? Makes sense, it's a comic company, it should be. But we really don't know much of anything about it. I would imagine that at Comic-Con they're going to have a release date for the service. They're going to have pricing, all these different options, right? I do think that personally the digital service is going to hurt DC because there's so many digital services out now that people really just like to use Netflix or people just like a certain number of things. And the reason people got away from cable is because they wanted to avoid the large cost of all these services, and now we're getting like 50 different digital services, so it kind of defeats the point, right? But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, DC could really knock it out of the park and have like a ton of good shows on this. Who knows? My guess is that since we only know of 3 series, I don't think that's enough to really justify this, like purchasing the digital service. So because of that, I think that they're also going to put their other series on there. Like they might put Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, you know, it's fairly likely that they could do that as well for people who miss it on TV or whatever, as well as their old animated series, and they could also put their animated films on there. Now, if they did all that, it would be a pretty stacked digital service with mostly older content. So keep that in mind. I mean, they really could just dig into their own library and just slap it all on the digital service, and I think people would honestly be happy with that for a while, you know, if they don't already own all the series and all that. But they'd have to pump out new content for it eventually. So we're going to have to really wait and see what happens with this digital service and what kind of content they put on it. Now, I hope that they have it in the right mind that they're going to keep Young Justice going and have more seasons on this, because that's a great marketing thing for this digital service if they keep doing that. Just throwing that out there, DC, if you happen to run across this. But anyway, so again, I think it's awesome that they have already 7 episodes of this in post-production and 8 being animated, which is a good sign, right? For them to get this series moving along. But my air of caution is that we really have to know more about this digital service before we know what's going to happen, because they're not just going to release Young Justice. Now, granted, that would make a lot of people buy the service or at least get the free trial or whatever, but until people really know a lot more about this, and we know when all the other series are getting released, then we'll know for sure. And honestly, I think that it's fairly likely, and I hope this isn't a problem. I really hope this isn't a problem, that some of these series aren't rushed so that they all come out at the same time. I don't think Young Justice is going to be rushed because it's been in production for a long time. And it's an animated series, and they're pretty good with animated series. But it's pretty possible that if one of these series does get behind at some point, that might be an issue later down the line. Especially, I think Titans is the most likely to fall into this trap, so just keep that in mind. But anyway, getting a little off topic here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you again, Young Justice Wiki, for the info. That's all I have for now. Catch you guys later.